Well, hello, everyone.
Hey.
Welcome back to another episode of the Craft Parenting Podcast.
Back.
The podcast about two Cincinnati craft beer lovers with a parenting problem. And we are back for hopefully a 2-part episode.
Back.
Yes.
It's been so long, I have to pause a really, really long time.
Yeah.
That's how this works.
Yeah, we're here, and we have some adventures to talk about. My name is Joe. This is my lovely wife and co-host, Caroline.
Hey.
We're fresh back from our summer family trip to Indianapolis.
That trip was like 3 weeks ago.
You don't have to tell them that.
Oh.
Can suspend some disbelief. Anyway, so we are here, fresh back from our summer trip, as I said before.
Hanging out in the basement bar.
Yeah, at the basement bar, the kids are asleep, and we're going to drink some beers and talk about what we did in Indianapolis as a family, and give some tips, and then hopefully it'll be helpful. So that'll be part 1, and then part 2 will be we'll talk a little bit about the breweries we'll talk a lot about the breweries.
I was going to say a little bit. The only thing on my list is breweries. We had a plan and we made it happen.
So yeah, this will be a 2-part episode released in 2 parts. But first, what are we drinking?
So we are currently drinking Guggenweizen, a Hefeweizen German-style wheat beer from Guggenheim House Brewing Company, which is 5.7% ABV, has 12 IBUs, and their head brewer signed the can. Well, I mean, he signed the label that went on the can. And they don't have to say, I guess, they don't have their address on here. But the description on the back of the can is raise a glass to cobbled streets, half-timbered houses, and Gemütlichkeit. This traditional German Hefeweizen is brewed oh my goodness. It's been a while. I'm going to try again, and we'll see whether or not Joe edits this out and sticks it at the end.
Nope, there's no editing. No editing.
Nope, none at all. So, take 2. Raise a glass to cobbled streets, half-timbered houses, and Gemütlichkeit. This traditional German Hefe is brewed with imported German malted wheat and Bavarian Hallertau hops. With notes of banana and clove, Guggenweizen pairs best with warm pretzels and great friends. Prost!
I really like this one, which is why we got it in a 6-pack.
Which I'm surprised because it's very banana forward. I am a fan, but it is very banana-y for a beer that Joe likes.
It's very banana forward, but I don't hate bananas. I just don't like the texture.
It's nice and hazy. And they say Hefe, Hay-Fa. I say Hefe.
Wow.
But, I mean, I also say paprika as paprikash because that's how your Oma would always say it.
That is the correct way to say it.
Yeah. And then apricots were aprikosh. And they had a lot of that. Oh, Christmas cookies. Those were the best. This is a really, really good beer. But we'll talk more about the brewery on a different episode. Because we going to be here for a while.
Yeah. So this beer is it's very refreshing. It's brewed to style. So it's, of course, the German style. I really enjoyed it.
It's perfect after mowing the lawn today because we both mowed the lawn. Arguably, my job was like 2,000 times easier because I got to sit on the tractor for 20 minutes.
Well, and that was it. You sit on the tractor and then you don't you don't clean up after yourself.
I do with the tractor. I keep the blades on and I run down the sidewalk and it throws everything to the side and it's fine. The wind will take care of it.
No, that's not how that works at all. Okay. So now that we talked a little bit about the beer, well, like you said, we'll talk about the brewery in a different episode. But we went to Indianapolis. We just got back.
As a family of 4, we didn't bring any tag-alongs.
No tag-alongs, no dogs.
Nope.
We stayed in a hotel.
Yeah. We stayed in a hotel with 2 beds, hoping that the kids would sleep in one bed and we would sleep in the other bed. We ended up having a girl's bed and a boy's bed.
Yes.
But everybody slept, so it's fine.
We did enough.
We did plenty.
Yeah.
So we chose Indianapolis because it's close enough that like the drive doesn't kill you, but it's far enough away that it's a whole new environment. And there is a video on Amazon that Elliot really likes to watch that features a model train garden.
Yes.
So Joe looked it up and was like, hey, this place is in Northwest Indiana. Oh my goodness. This place is in Northwest Indiana. I was going to say Indy, but then that gets really confusing because Indiana is Indy and Indianapolis is also Indy. Make up your minds, people. I don't know. Maybe, or is it all Indy? I'm not a Hoosier. Please inform me. Or don't, because I'm not a Hoosier. I don't super care. So we had a lot of stuff to do the Saturday before we left. Well, the Saturday we were leaving, because Lily was invited to a birthday party, and then Joe had a family party to go to. So we split up the family to divide and conquer our events, met back home, and then drove to Indianapolis to fall asleep at the hotel.
Yeah, so we left around, 6:30? We ate dinner.
Yeah, 6 or 6:30, we stopped. Like, as soon as we left the house, we stopped and we ate. And then we got back in the car and went.
Yeah, so we didn't get there until probably, 9?
Yeah, 8:30, 9 o'clock.
It was still late.
Yeah, it was still light outside. It was closer than we thought it was going to be. Because I am used to driving to, like, the Mason or, like, actually more like Lebanon or, like, Waynesville equivalent in Indianapolis anytime I go there. Because that's where my aunt used to live, out in Fishers. So when we were just going to the south side for our hotel, I was like, oh, this is really close. This is not as long of a drive as I thought that it was going to be. So we got the hotel. Kids fell asleep pretty easy. And that was the one morning that we like had a deadline on when we were supposed to wake up and get out the door. And then we missed it. We left an hour later than I had wanted to leave because we were going to get there right when the train garden opened.
Mm-hmm.
And then as we're driving to the train garden, our clocks change and we lose an hour. So the fact that we were an hour behind schedule actually meant that we were on schedule and not an hour early.
Yeah. Did you say what the name of it was?
I gotta remember what it was because it was complicated. It's still in my...
Yeah. So as you said, our son really likes model trains, and we're really bummed that the model train place in Westchester is closing.
Mm-hmm. Entertainment Junction.
Yes, that one.
Their last 6 months are going to be their best 6 months is what they're going with.
Yeah. It's really sad because it's a really well done place. And our son, we've typically go there around Christmas break.
Yeah, we got to get in like 3 more visits before they close.
We probably won't get in 3 more visits.
We won't.
At least one though.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really well done. But so our son really is into trains. He's in the train spotting videos on YouTube. I think Julia gave me that idea.
Yeah, that was like almost 3 years ago. She talked about it. And we're like, oh, we'll see if Elliot likes this. And it was like the one thing that he would stand still and watch. It was really adorable.
Like he was like what, almost 2?
No, he was like maybe a year old. He was not that big. Because it started off with train spotting videos. And then we slowly migrated to Thomas.
Yeah.
And then slowly added more train toys.
Yeah, so we found I think he found this video on YouTube. Like he just pointed to it and
it was either YouTube or I think it was Amazon Prime. Because they've got 2 videos that are free on Amazon Prime.
We first found it on YouTube.
Okay.
And then I discovered that it was on Amazon Prime. It's called Ticket to Ride. I Love Toy Trains. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, it's very segmented. And they did a segment on this, what is it called?
It's called the Gabis Arboretum at Purdue University Northwest.
Yeah, but in the video, in this segment, it was called something different.
Yeah, they call it.
They changed their name.
Yeah, because the video was when they had like half the trains that they do now, and it's all outdoors. It only runs Friday through Sunday, so we had the issue of we had to be in Cincinnati on Saturday because we had already committed to things. So it's like, well, we have to go on Sunday. And in order to make the drive not be as terrible, we're going to drive into Indianapolis Saturday night to then immediately leave Indianapolis Sunday morning.
Yeah, it was about, was it 4 hours? How many hours?
It was a little over 2 hours from the hotel. Because we left at 9 and got there at 10, which was really 11.
Okay, so it was about a 2 hour drive from Indianapolis. So if we did it from Cincinnati, that would have been 4 hours.
Potentially. There might have been some ways to do a shortcut, but there aren't really a whole lot of highways to do a shortcut through Indiana.
Yeah, so we got to see the windmills.
Yeah, they were not very active on our drive up, but they were pretty active on our drive back. And the kids were like, windmill, windmill, windmill. Windmill. And I'm like, guys, this goes on for like another 10 miles.
Yeah. And lots of fields of nothingness and lots of construction.
So much construction.
Like Indianapolis, what is wrong with your highway system?
Yeah. Well, and this is a drive that I have done numerous times. Joe's done it a handful of times. But that's mostly been like in a bus. Or where you're not really paying attention to where you are because you're busy hanging out with people. Or like we drove up once together a long while ago.
To Indy or to Chicago?
To Chicago. So like this drive from Indianapolis to nearly Chicago, I have done a lot. So I am used to that very boring stretch. Because I used to go up to Chicago for a trade show like every other year or every year. So I'm like, yep. It's the nothingness. And then Elliot was like, cow? Because there's a big tanker truck that has a cow on top of it. And I'm like, oh yeah, bud, and watch the next one. And the next one has a giant fork on it. And I'm like, oh, maybe we could go there for lunch. Because I didn't realize maybe I did realize we had lost an hour by then. But I was like, I've gone there on business trips and it's been really good. So we'll go there on our way back. So we get to the Arboretum right after they opened, but we were not the first ones there. So maybe the gates open up sooner. Maybe there was a line at 10 and then they just let everybody in. And we figured out how to get back to the railway garden and like saw it was just acres and acres of like plants.
Yeah, maybe we can read the description.
I am still on the train page about us.
So Purdue, what is it? Purdue Northwest?
The Purdue University Northwest Gabis Arboretum serves as a living laboratory for education, research, conservation, and engagement with the natural environment. So it was founded by Damien and Rita Gabis, which is how it got its name, in the early 1900s. So Dr. and Mrs. Gabis purchased 72 acres of land and then throughout the years bought 300 acres total that became the Tall Tree Arboretum and Gardens. They understood the need for green space and set out to create a natural place where people can be inspired and experience the serenity of nature. He became a certified naturalist and used that skill to come up with his vision for the Arboretum. Mm-hmm. And then Rita loved to garden, so she was able to be a big help for that. It's a place where you can come to be refreshed, find inspiration in nature, and learn about horticulture and ecology. I don't know, I had so many issues with that word. Which, yeah, it is a great place to become refreshed until your child's like, we should go down that path. And you're like, I'm pretty sure that path goes back down to the car. Those are some pretty dark clouds up there. We'll be fine. And you just follow her into a wildflower field where you're pretty sure you're going to get to your car. It's about panic for about the first 100, 200 yards until you see stuff that you recognize again. They began the groundwork for the Arboretum in 1996, and they established a foundation in 1998. And since then, a lot of funds have been put in to support conservation and educational activities. So they planted a lot of trees. They restored a large wetland, and they put in a lot of trails. Lots of mammals, birds, insects, and amphibians have come to call the Arboretum home. They opened it to the public in 2001, where they added in the Joseph E. Meyer Memorial Pavilion, the Railway Garden. Groundbreaking was in August 2008, and they opened it up in June of 2011. 2011. It felt wrong for a hot second. I don't know.
Are you okay?
I am tired.
You're tired. Okay.
So they've earned some accreditations through ArbNet and the North American. No, wait. They do really good stuff. They joined Purdue University Northwest in 2018. And because they donated it to Purdue University. And now Purdue takes care of all the operations. And they still have a board.
I think that's when the name probably changed.
Yeah, probably. Because they're the ones that gave the big gift. They're the ones who get their name on the side of the building. Except in this case, it's 300-ish acres of gorgeous nature land. So our really only plan when we got there was to hang out in the Railway Garden, and that's all that we had really looked at on the website, because there isn't a whole lot on the website about, like, maybe there is, and I just didn't pay attention to it because I was only focused on the Railway Garden and when it was open. But
so let's talk about the Railway Garden.
Yeah, so the Railway Garden's really cool. It's like kidney bean shaped.
Sure. That's an obscure.
It's not. It's like an oval with a kink in it.
Okay. Yeah. I guess so.
Yeah.
It was a lot smaller than I thought it would be.
But you're also a very tall person and the trains are very small.
Yeah, but Eli was super excited. It's so they really tried to make it like historical. Mm-hmm. So they have different scenes, and they made it historical, like Civil War.
Yeah, they went through the history of trains, and I think they kind of decided to settle on like a West Virginian coal town. Because there were I think a lot of it was set in West Virginia, even though we were in Indiana, because there were hills and stuff, and there was coal mining, and there was logging. There were some cute little cities. I guess at that point they'd probably just be towns because they were super tiny.
Yeah.
And so we did 4 or 5 loops around it because Elliot would just start walking from one thing to the next. It was really cute because like the trains were at ground level for the most part. So he would crouch down so he could get closer to them. And I'm like, Bud, out of all of us, you are already the closest to the trains. But
he really wanted to see them.
Yep. He wanted to enter the garden because there were volunteers there working on the trains, making sure that everybody was up and running. Because apparently they have issues with ants sometimes where the ants like to crawl into the trains and then make it so they don't work anymore. Or they get leaves or sticks on the rails, so then trains derail or won't run as well because they can't get all the power that they need to go. Because we talked to a few of the volunteers. Elliot watching the circus train, like there was the circus train in a little town. We got to talk to a lovely lady for a little while who told us a little bit about the history of the train garden. And then she also told us about other stuff at the Arboretum. She told us about the adventure garden and the music garden. But then also in the area with the railway garden, they had a little play set that looked like 2 trains. So they had a smaller wooden play set that was like a little train engine that we could definitely not fit in. And then 3 or 4 cars, including a caboose. So Elliot and Lily took turns driving that train. And they had a bigger, closer to life-size scale, but not quite, train engine that had a slide and like a little clubhouse in it that the kids ran around as well. So we got to wear them out a little bit in that garden. And then we hopped in the car to go to the adventure garden. And that's really where we wore the kids out. They had 2 little houses. Because while we were at the train garden, Lily wanted to play 3 Little Pigs. And I'm like, homegirl, we're at a train garden? I don't know if we can do that right now. But we will find a way to do that. And so when we got to the adventure garden, it was like home gardening that you could see up close and some natural looking, I'd say like Hobbit-esque or like woodland elf-esque.
Yeah.
Like toy, like structures. So they had 2 little houses and we played 3 Little Pigs bouncing between those 2 houses. They had a thing that looked like a giant beehive, which the kids loved walking up and saying that they were a bee, buzz, buzz. And they had some arches that we all climbed up.
It looked like a spider to me, but it didn't have 8 legs.
No, it was like 6 rainbows all converging. It was pretty fun. So
there was a sandbox too, but we forbid the kids to go in the sandbox.
Yeah, we distracted the children away from the sandbox.
Yeah.
And then, because I didn't pick up a paper map, but I took a picture of the map board. We didn't get lost, but I thought we were going to get lost going to the music garden, which was gorgeous. It had a lot of, it was like 50-50 between like industrial made music apparatus and like nature made music apparatus. Because they had some bamboo you could walk through that was hanging from a pergola.
They were like giant wind chimes, but bamboo.
And so you would walk through them to make the noise. They had some xylophones. They had like a giant ball where you could tap on it in different spots and it would make different notes.
And all the instruments, or at least a lot of them, mimicked, they were meant to mimic a sound that an animal would make.
Yeah. So like they had, next to one of them, they said it was supposed to sound like a turkey. It was some like upside down bells. And I was like, I don't know how this sounds like a turkey, but I'll go on that ride with you. The only annoying thing about the music garden was that there was a pond like right there that was at ground level and very mossy. So it kind of, if you didn't know any better, it kind of looked like the music garden just kept on going. So
it kind of looked like grass.
It looked like grass.
It looked solid, like nothing was moving in it. It looked like solid ground.
Yeah, and we had to keep the kids away from that because there wasn't any barrier between them and the pond. And at first I was like, oh, hey, it's a meadow. And then I was like, oh, wait, that is not a meadow. This way, kids. But they had fun bouncing between all the toys or all the musical instruments. Another family was walking away from it as we were walking towards it. So they helped make us, they clarified for us that we were in fact going in the right direction because this is where they had just come from. And between our two kids and us from time to time, it was very, very loud. I can only imagine what that place would sound like if you had 10 different kids running around, beating on all the instruments. But the kids had a lot of fun and they really enjoyed it. And then they wanted to go back to the adventure garden. And it's like, okay, kids, like we'd love to, but we got to start heading south. So we can meet up with Miss Molly and Owen and go get us some lunch because, yeah, our clocks say it's noon or noon 30, but really it's like 1:30.
Yeah.
So y'all need some food in your bellies.
I would say it was a worthwhile day trip.
It was for sure worth the trip.
I don't know that I would drive 4 hours one way for it.
No.
So it was good that we had a home base in Indy.
Yeah, it's definitely like a on the way, or if you have a home base that's closer, there and back kind of thing. But then when we went to lunch, which turned into like dinner, because they were delayed on lots of things. We went to, I should have looked this up, because it wasn't initially in our itinerary.
Was it Fair Oaks?
It was Fair Oaks. Fair Oaks Farm in Indiana.
It's a farm to table restaurant.
Yeah. So the restaurant was called the Farmhouse. Fair Oaks Farms has like a little compound on it. The best way I can describe it is it's like farm light for city folk. They have a hotel there that looks like a barn, which is really cool. And that's connected to their restaurant.
It's like a Hilton or something.
It's a Fairfield Inn.
Oh, it's
yeah.
Okay.
Or a Marriott or something like that.
It's like a major brand.
Yeah, it's a major brand, but it looks like a red barn with the silo. It's wild. And that's attached to a place called the Farmhouse, which is their restaurant, which is all farm to table. They also have some cafe that if I had known how long it was going to take, we might have eaten there instead, because that's more like Panera-esque as far as like grab and go or like don't wait as long for stuff kind of thing. But then they also do tours, like they have bus tours where they'll take you to like the milking barn and I don't know what else because we didn't really pay attention to that. But they also have like a fun little area for the kids to hang out in where they have one of those giant inflatable pads, some little tractors for them to pedal around, a little train that we had to really keep Elliot off of.
A giant slide.
Yeah, a giant slide that we had to keep Lily off of.
Like, I think you rode down on like on a mat. Yeah,
either a mat or an inner tube.
Yeah. I think the kids were too small for that.
Yeah. We might have also had to pay for it. So that was fun. It was a nice little break on our drive. And the food was really, really good. So it was definitely worth it. And then we drove to Columbus, Indiana, which I did not know existed. But now, like, talking to people at work, they're like, oh, yeah, Columbus, Indiana. I go there all the time. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that existed. I only know RC Bus.
Well, if you're paying attention, so in this one trip, in this one day, we went to almost Chicago to almost Kentucky.
We were at least an hour north of Kentucky. Because we were going to be in Indiana, I couldn't not see Miss Molly. So we found a way to make it work. So we met halfway between our hotel and where she lives to meet at Columbus, Indiana, which I think would be totally worth a day trip. Or to like spend more time there. They have a place called the Commons, which is like a defunct mall, but has a giant indoor play place in it. It's very much geared for like very small kids or bigger kids. There isn't a whole lot for in between kids, which is what our kids are. So because Lily decided to go up the giant structure, which is something that I hadn't seen before, but they had it at the Children's Museum as well, where it's like these pieces of woods that are these giant platforms of wood. Well, giant's not the right word, but large platforms of wood that are like arched and they'll like, or curved, and they'll like change whether like how much it's curved, how much it's angled. And
it's like a different twist on like, you know, like Chuck E. Cheese's or McDonald's.
Yeah. Like
instead of like little tubes, you're like climbing.
Yeah. It's all
stuff
meshed in so you're safe, but it's also just only metal mesh so you can see everything. So if you get 3/4 of the way up and then all of a sudden you're too scared to go down because you realized how high you are. And man, that's a big step to go from this platform to that platform. Your mom has to climb up there and help you get down. And then you listen to the nice little 6-year-old who says, I think this way is easier to get out. It was not easier to get out that way for me. But we had lots of fun. I talked Lily through getting herself in and out. She had to help me a few times because stuff got tight. But yeah, because she was like, can you carry me or can you pick me up? And I was like, no, you can do this yourself, girlfriend. I will like have a hand on your back so you know that I'm here to catch you if you fall, but you can do this. Like, it's not as big of a step as you think that it is. And so by the time we started to get through it, she was pretty confident at it. And then I was like, do you want to go back up in there? And she said, no. And I was like, okay, I'm not chasing after you again if you go up there. So that's probably a good decision. And then the kids played hide and go seek for a little bit because they really like to play hide and go seek, but they like to go hide in the same spot.
Yeah, they're not very good at it.
No.
Not yet, anyway.
It's pretty funny. Well, because then, like, Lily hid in the same exact spot that Elliot hid in. And he's, like, looking around the whole whole playground for her. And it's like, bud, she's right where you just were. Mm-hmm. So that's where we met up with Molly. Kids got to play. We got some Mexican. And then we went to a really nice ice cream place.
It's like an old-fashioned ice cream parlor. Like old-fashioned, like early 1900s.
Yeah. It's called, Zarakos. Zaharakos. They have been open since 1900. 1900.
So exactly 1900.
Yeah. So they do old-fashioned style ice cream, which is really yummy. The kids got strawberry. I got strawberry banana. It was like, and
I got a shake.
I got a brownie sundae. So I got like a lot of ice cream because the scoops like were bigger than Grater's scoops. They were huge.
I think they had like ice in them too. Like I think they were made.
Or like very frozen milk. Yeah. Like they had like crystals in them.
Yeah.
It was really good. The strawberry actually contained like pieces of strawberry. They have a bunch of player pianos. I'm trying to think.
They had like old fashioned soda machines, just on display. They didn't like use them or anything, but, you could see how there was like a museum almost.
Yeah. It was like a mini museum. Allegedly there was some movie that was like recently, like it hasn't come out yet, where they needed like a scene and it had to be the 1940s. And that was like the best place for them to go because it very much, you could take some of the stuff out and it very much looks like it's from that time period still. And yes, they had like all their old
equipment, like soda machines.
The old soda machines. They had some interesting Coke products that I like. I don't know what they were, but it was like sugar bowls, but they weren't sugar bowls. Maybe, I don't know. So they have a Welt Orchestrion, which is a self-playing organ designed to sound like an orchestra. So it's like a player piano, but it's like the whole kit and caboodle. Like the thing that they've got on merry-go-round, but nicer.
Yes.
They have a banjo orchestra, which was really cool because I'm pretty sure it played dueling banjos. They had a player piano. And then what was really adorable, but some kids were already sitting in them, was they had like the traditional quote unquote ice cream parlor chairs where like the back looks like a heart made out of wrought iron, but they had a mini version of that for the kids. And it was so cute. We sat at the bar, and had our ice cream there, and it was really nice. Across the street was a children's museum. We did not go back for that though, because by the time we got down there, it was already closed. And it sounded like it was mildly small, but seemed like it'd be really nice. It's like we could probably totally make a day trip out of going back to Columbus.
Indiana.
Yeah. We could definitely make a day trip out of Columbus, Ohio, because we could go to COSI. But Indianapolis has the Indianapolis Children's Museum.
Yes, and that's what we did the next day.
Yeah.
Which we we got our coffee at this place I never heard of, but it was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's
like a 76 coffee or something like that.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of like a Sonic.
Yeah, it was
weird.
It was like a Chick-fil-A drive-through because they had 2 lanes and it was pretty fast. It was good. We talked to them for a little bit.
Yeah. So we got our coffee. We drove to the Children's Museum, and it was an experience. We've been there before. It's been probably 10 years, though.
Yeah, we have been there without children.
Yes. It's probably been, I mean, your cousin was there.
Yeah.
So she was younger-ish.
But not much.
Yeah. So it's definitely an experience. It's very well done.
Yeah, it's been around since 1925. So
I don't think in that.
Not in that location.
Yeah. So right away when you go there, you park across the street and you drive around the corner, and we saw a bunch of dinosaurs, like fake dinosaurs, I guess, like statues, or I don't know what they're made of, but they make it look like the dinosaurs broke the building and they're like escaping.
Yeah. So when we first turn the corner, it's dinosaurs are escaping the building and they look like mildly mean dinosaurs. And then you keep turning that corner and there's a brontosaurus with its head like at the top of the window, like sticking its head in. And then right next to it is a baby brontosaurus, like halfway through the window. Just like floating in the air, like, I'm trying to get over the fence, Ma.
Yeah. So, and then you go inside and you can see their head. Elliot really thought that was cool.
Yes, it was.
Like he got a really big kick out of it. But the parking garage itself, they were like artifacts.
Yeah, they had a giant Anubis.
Yeah.
It was pretty fun.
There's like, I think, was there something else? I don't know.
I think there probably was.
There was a couple of like artifacts, like museum-ish things.
Mm-hmm.
So then you go to the museum, and we went right to there's a dinosaur section. So we did that first.
Because we had to.
Yeah. and it's well done. Let's see, it's in the basement.
Yeah. So you go down to the lower level and then you're like, where am I? And the answer is you do not know.
And there are like bones and fossils and interactive.
They have like interactive computers where you
can
play some games and hear some stuff from paleontologists.
There's like a 360 or maybe it's 180 ceiling with like that dims, then
it's like an Omnimax, but
Omnimax,
or like a planetarium, but it's like the night sky or the day sky, and it'll change between the two.
Yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool. And then inside, and you go further in, and there's, which I don't think I've seen before, but you could actually dig for fossil bones.
Yeah, and they had just recovered the bones. So
I don't know what that material was, but
it was like, it was hard. It was like stones with glue, but it was like a pretty tough, like little pebbles with glue or rubber bits with glue, because it was really hard to scrape at. So like our kids got frustrated because there wasn't a whole lot to see, and they didn't see a whole lot of progress scraping at the stuff with the tools that they were given, which I get.
And there was a wall too.
Yeah, and there were like a few things on the wall, so if the kids didn't want to get in the pit, they could do that. So we did that for a bit. Elliot hung out in the dinosaur area for a bit more. Lily and you guys moved on to the ocean animals. Lily and myself went all the way up to the art area where Lily got to color a dinosaur, and then took a picture of it. And then...
Yeah, I don't know where you guys went.
Apparently we were on the second floor. So we went up 2 levels. So I took a picture of it, and then they had a projector with all of these kid decorated dinosaurs walking around, because they only gave you like 2 different dinosaur designs to choose from, so it would work with their program. And then a little egg would pop up in the corner and would wiggle, and then would crack open, and then out would come the dinosaur that you had decorated, and you could watch it walk around with all the other ones.
That's pretty cool, actually.
It was pretty cool.
Did you have to like scan it?
Yeah, you just like set it on like the old... Remember like in college where they would have like that little projector that was like the overhead projector, but not... Or like the...
I do not remember that.
Oh, yeah, because your guys' stuff was probably all PowerPoints. When our professors had to write... Remember the transparencies that you would use with the overhead projector? Mm-hmm. It was like that, but like it would take a picture of it, and then you got to keep your little picture. Okay. It's in the house somewhere.
Okay, cool.
And then we explored the basement, which that's probably where we spent
the bulk.
Yeah, like the bulk, or like close to the bulk of our time while we were there, because they had the dinosaurs, they had some ocean stuff, which Lily wasn't as interested in. They had a giant train, which was like an actual train engine that was donated to the museum back in 1880.
1980?
Yeah, sorry, it was 1960.
Yeah, so that it made noise every 30 minutes or something. And there was like a light show. And then you go even further, and there was like a caboose. There was a carriage.
Yeah, there's carriage. So 1968, the iconic Reuben Wells, a steam engine built in 1868 to push trains up the steepest grade railroad in the nation, comes to the museum on loan, and it's still there. But that was before they moved locations. In 1976 is when their current location was opened.
Okay.
And it's the world's largest children's museum at 225,000 square feet.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you could go in. It was a actual like a carriage, train carriage. And you could go in, and they had the first section. They had a bunch of model trains behind glass, and Elliot was frustrated because
he wanted to play with them. They
And then you go further back and you could sit down and the windows were moving. So it was like you were on a train.
Mm-hmm.
I think it made noise too.
Yeah. And they had a really cool train table that had holes in sections of it. So like you could climb under it and come out in one of the holes so you could play with the trains in the middle of the table, even if you had short arms. And so I sent a picture to the grandparents and said, okay, who's making this for Elliot first? Because he's going to want this. So Elliot, we had to kind of drag Elliot out of that area. They had a partnership with National Geographic where they had a deep sea diving exploration, ancient China artifacts, specifically the terracotta soldiers. And they had some ancient Egyptian, kind of like a tomb kind of area.
An International Space Station.
Yeah. And then
like astronauts, space, internet. It was mostly the International Space Station.
yeah.
So the floor was painted, the walls were painted to look like
The soon to be retired International Space Station.
oh, are they retiring it?
Yep. But we're gonna
No, those people are stuck.
I saw something about that, but I don't know who it was, or I didn't dig into that at all.
Elon Musk is going to save them.
Well, he's got those rocket ships if he can get him out of orbit or off the ground without exploding.
I mean, Boeing can't
Yeah.
do it. So
That is a risk with space travel. It's a risk with ocean travel. It's when there's nothing out there, what you gonna do? So there was that, and then they also had a rotating seat underneath their giant glass sculpture that spans 3.5, 4-ish stories. So you could see the light come at it and see all the different colors of it from the bottom.
that's pretty
Which
cool.
the kids never spent time on, but it was really cool. They had a mini version of it that you could deconstruct and put back together. The kids did play with that.
I don't recall that.
Yeah, maybe it was just Lily that did because you were still in space with Elliot. And then we went upstairs, and I think that's ish when we got lunch. Because we were getting hungry. No, we went upstairs first before we got lunch because there's so much to do.
I think it's like 5 levels.
It's 5. Yeah, it's 5 levels. Some of it's private event space. Not a whole lot of it though. They have a few rotating exhibits. The 4th floor is pretty fun because that's where they have the carousel and a little like treehouse style village that the kids liked to play in. They've got some mirror stuff and some like old toys, which is like
old.
Hey, that's all stuff that I played with because they like went back to the 20s, but then they also had a display for like 1990 and for 2000, and I was like, I think I had some of that stuff. I might still have some of that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. It was really cool. Really cool stuff.
Yeah, the carousel you have to pay a little bit of money to ride, and only the kids can ride it. Adults cannot. But the kids liked that.
I stood next to them.
Yeah. They have a few exhibits that are more geared towards older kids. So like there's one about like kids who were brave, and that's definitely geared towards, I think they said like, they might have even said like 12 and up. Cause it's like these kids did not have an easy life and died very young. So we didn't really do anything in there.
It was like Anne Frank.
Yeah, it was like Anne Frank and I don't remember his name. There was a guy there was a kid in Indiana who got AIDS due to blood transfusions, and he helped change like the direction of people's perception on AIDS because, well, now it's like he didn't do anything wrong, but he got it. So, hey, maybe we need to start doing something about that. And he was a very big face for that. So like his whole childhood bedroom is there. Like his mom donated the whole thing. She hadn't touched it. And then they have, what was it like called? Welcome to or Journey to? I think it was Journey to.
Yeah.
And
so there was like a giant plane.
Yeah.
And you go on the plane and then you go off the plane.
And we were in Greece.
Yeah. So they rotate the location out like
It's every year. Because in January, it'll be a new location.
Yeah. So this year, if you go, it's Greece and it's extremely well done.
Yeah. It's a little Greek village. You can make some food and two different, like a Greek bakery and like a Greek cafe. We were there at the right time to learn some Greek dances, which Lily loved. And,
she did. Yep.
Yeah. And Elliot liked fishing off the boat. We again had to drag them from that area.
There was a section about turtles too. I don't know what that has to do with Greece, but
save the turtles.
Does Greece have turtles, I guess?
I don't know. Probably. If it was there, they're usually pretty accurate at that museum. I don't remember where their next destination is, but I'm sure you can find it because they had a banner up about it.
Or is it a secret?
It's not a secret, they tell you. And then the second place where we probably spent like the bulk of our time in one spot was the 5 and under area of the museum. So the 5 and under area of the museum is about the same size as the Children's Play Village in the Children's Museum at Union Terminal. But it's like a condensed version of that. So they had an art space, they had a music space, which was nice because it was in a separate room with just double doors, and they had some sound pads, some acoustic pads on the walls, so it wasn't like you heard the music everywhere. They had a little mechanical area. They had a giant creek or river that Elliot loved playing with. And then they had a mini version, but it was leaves of the play set that they had at Columbus, Indiana.
I don't think I went into the music section.
We did not. It was a blink and you'll miss it because it was just a doorway. Versus everything else was a lot more open. So Lily actually got herself in and out of that play set all by herself. She did a lot more running around. I knew where she was, but she didn't know where I was for a hot second. And so then I go look to check on her, and she is talking to an adult worker at the museum who is getting on a radio. And I'm like, Lily, hi, Mama's right here. And I hear the worker say, never mind, we found Mom. And I'm like, sweet, we almost became an announcement. I'm glad we didn't.
You almost did.
Yeah. So the kids liked playing around there. While we were there, they had an art program. So we looked at a painting or a print of a painting of children dancing and talked about what do you think the kids are doing? And then here, make a little wire sculpture of someone dancing, and then you get to decorate it. And those are currently sitting on our dining room table. So kids like that. They had a really cool old blow mold. What was it? It's like a Moldo Magic machine or something like that. There's less than 100 maybe of them in the world, or maybe just in the States. Cheapest souvenir and the best souvenir at the same time. Cause you get to you pay for it and you get to watch it blow mold your little dinosaur. In this case, it was a little Brontosaurus. And it said Brontosaurus on the front, and then on the back it said Indianapolis Children's Museum.
Oh, I didn't know it said anything.
It's hard to tell because it's all in print. So Lily got one because she wanted one, and Elliot was mesmerized by the pool ball, giant marble-esque contraption that they have.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't until he had seen her dinosaur like 4 times that he was like, wait, I would like one of those too. Because I was waiting for him to say that he wanted one. So we did that as like our last big thing while we were there. And then, because we skipped a lot of stuff because it was either geared, because like there was a whole thing on Martin Luther King, but that was geared more towards older kids. The traveling exhibits weren't really stuff that our kids were interested in. So we, or like the quickly rotating exhibits, so we didn't visit any of those. But like the other half of the museum is a sports complex, which is something that's relatively new because it did not exist when we visited like 10-ish years ago.
Or we just didn't go there.
No, it didn't exist yet because I get their emails. So I saw all the stuff about it opening up. Because I want to say maybe at that point they had like more racing stuff, like more car racing based stuff out there. Versus this is just like straight sports. It's like you can try every sport under the sun. So it starts off with like, here are some indoor sports. And the kids enjoyed sliding around on the indoor hockey rink. And falling on their butts a few times while doing that. And then we all went outside. Elliot did not want to stay outside though.
Yeah, there was lots of basketball.
Yeah, so we played basketball for a little bit.
Was there a track?
There was a track that I think was like 0.4 of a mile or almost half a mile. Lily just wanted to run. So we ran. And it's similar to like the track at Miami Whitewater where like you can run the track or they've got some exercises you can do along the way. So we would stop and do some of those exercises. But there's not a ton of shade. So it was getting really hot. They have putt-putt out there. They have tennis. They have field hockey. Well, no, they have hockey. They have football. They have baseball. Like pretty much if there's this, like that, you can try out a lot of sports there. And see what you think about it. Like, I wish we would have spent more time there and we could have like played putt-putt, but it was also getting hot and the kids were getting tired. So we said it's time to go. Or it was getting close to time to go. Joe and Elliot were inside. Of course, Lily said she had to go to the bathroom. So we go to the bathroom and I'm like, okay, all we got to do is get inside. And then she sees the giant treehouse. Because they have like an equivalent to the Tree of Life at Disney World down in Florida, except it's all sports. So it's a giant tree with all these like different shoes, different balls, different like hitting apparatuses on it.
I did not see this.
No. And so we go up and then we go down because that's all you can do in it. And there were a bunch of hooligans making lots of noise. Which was annoying, but we went up it, we went down it, we got inside, which felt very cool compared to outside. And then we went to our first brewery, which we'll talk about later. And the kids just conked when it was time for bed that night. They were very tired. We still had to say, this is a girl's bed and this is a boy's bed. We probably could have combined them into the same bed, but at that point we were just like, whatevs. Girl's bed, boy's bed. I will hold your hand across the great chasm between these two beds and squeeze it to wish you good night. And then I too will pass out because I am exhausted. So many steps. And then the last big kids thing that we did was we went to the Indianapolis Zoo, which is like the Cincinnati Zoo, but flat. So it's very different.
It's more long too.
Yeah.
It still goes in a circle, but it's more like long than oval shape.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Cincinnati Zoo is just like 2 circles, right?
It's a giant circle with a bunch of cutovers in it.
Well, okay.
Versus this is like a giant.
It's more of a
oval.
line. Yeah.
It's another kidney bean. It's not. I just wanted to say kidney bean again.
So I've been to quite a few zoos We've been to the DC Zoo.
Yep.
We went to the New York City Zoo.
Yeah, we didn't go to the Bronx Zoo. We went to a different zoo. That sounds right. Yeah.
It's a smaller zoo.
Yeah. One time we were driving around Florida and we found a zoo and we hung out at the zoo for a few hours. That was fun.
We went to, let's see, DC. So this was the first time. I don't know if I've been to the Columbus Zoo.
I don't think I have.
I don't
Or if I
think I
have,
have
it's been
either.
so long I don't remember it.
So this was the first time I've been to the Indianapolis Zoo.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a different experience, I think.
Yeah.
They had a lot of like underwater creatures,
Yeah, which we have the aquarium, so our zoo doesn't have a whole lot of that.
which I thought was unique.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. They had dolphins. They had
Which was really cool.
walruses,
Yep.
right?
Yeah. So like you get in there and you get to the zoo and your entrance leads you to a giant greenhouse that had a bunch of butterflies in it. So it's like, oh hey, it's Crone Conservatory. And then you go through that and you get to see a chimpanzee enclosure. And then you're like, what's that giant tunnel system coming from the chimpanzee enclosure? And then you find out the chimpanzees have 3 different enclosures and they have a tunnel cage system where they can pick which enclosure they get to hang out in.
So they can basically run the entire length of the zoo,
yeah,
but it's all enclosed.
yeah. Well, no, it's not all enclosed though, because one of the sections is all like ropes. So it's these giant towers that are 50 feet in the air, and they've got platforms on top, and then they've got ropes. So they can like swing on the ropes from tower to tower. But like if you just drop from the ropes, you're with a bunch of people. The towers like underneath the platforms is electrified as like the whole like don't climb down the pole kind of thing. But I wish we would have seen somebody on them. But it was pretty cool to see like, oh, that would be really cool if somebody was going across it.
It was very hot.
It was very hot.
So I'm sure they were in the shade.
Yeah. I saw 2 different chimps run it, like going through the tunnel system to get from one enclosure to another. But we didn't see anybody up high. So you go through the garden and then you end up at basically like a little aquarium, where they've got a lot of fish. They've got the little shark/ray petting tank, where of course everything hangs out farther away than toddler reach. So our kids are like, I want to pet. And it's like, well, sorry, bud. They know where not to go if they don't want to get touched. Maybe we could sneak them in the morning, but we didn't get here early enough for that. We got to see some dolphins. They have a whole dolphin show, but we didn't try to hang out for that. It seemed like it would be very busy because a lot of people were talking about it. They have some walruses. They have a skyway, which is like the helicopters at Kings Island. Mm-hmm. And it circles part of the zoo.
They have a roller coaster too.
They have a roller coaster. You have to be 47 inches tall to ride it though. And Lily is only 45. So she did not make it.
Yeah.
There's a few more things that she can do at Kings Island this year though, which she'll be super excited about if we go. And then they also have a train because of course they have a train. So we rode the train twice.
The Cincinnati Zoo train is better.
The Cincinnati Zoo train is better.
Because this train, we rode it more than once.
Yeah, we rode it twice.
We rode it twice. And it just stops because there's a stop sign. I think they do that twice.
Well, it's more behind the scenes than it is to see the animals. So our zoo train, you can see some of the animals and then you're like going around the lake.
Yeah.
This was just more behind the scenes stuff. And like there are sections where you are crossing a road that workers might be driving across. So you have to stop at the stop sign, make sure the gates are down, make sure nobody's coming, and then you can go.
There's no like, I don't know. What do you
There
call
were.
it? Like
There were
barriers?
crossing barriers.
Oh, so I don't know why there's a stop sign then. It was just very jolting. I was like, oh, okay. And then there wasn't a whole lot to see.
Yeah.
It wasn't very exciting.
We got the adventure pass, which meant we could do unlimited rides and up to 4 animal feedings. So we got lunch, and then we got to feed some giraffes some carrots, which the kids liked. We got to see the plains animals, and then we went to like the aviary area and got some slushies because we were all super hot. And then Joe and Elliot went in first to try to feed the birds. How good of a time did you guys have with that?
So they gave us cups of apple juice, and it took us a while, but we did get at least one to drink.
Yeah.
Now nothing as exciting as you.
No. So the boys come back out. We go in. So at least one of us can be with all of our stuff. And there's this girl who's like very insistent that she wants to like stay there for a while, even though her family is like, homegirl, we need to move. And she's like, nah, just like, let me feed one more bird. And she says that like 10 times. But so like I managed to feed a bird. She gets a bird close enough that it, like Lily can kind of feed it. And then I go to move on with my life. And all of the sudden, the bird that I was feeding is now on my shoulder. And so I just like have this bird chill on my shoulder, and I'm like, hey, bud. And it's squawking at me like in my ear. And I'm like, this is really loud. And so I'm just like feeding it, and I'm getting like apple juice all over me because it's lapping it up. And I'm like, am I a Disney princess? What is going on right now? And then Lily's very jealous because she would like the bird to sit on her and not on me. And I'm like, sorry, not sorry, girl. Like, I have been chosen. I can't make it choose you.
I don't know what she would have done.
She probably would have screamed, and then the thing would have flown away. And that would have been best case scenario.
Yeah.
There were some that were like walking along an edge, and she was like, oh, I'll feed those. And so she crouched down to feed it. And the lady was like, you need to stand up, ma'am or miss. And had Lily stand up because like I crouched down to like get Lily to stand up. And they're like, yeah, they like to burrow. So like they will go inside your shorts if given the opportunity. And I was like, yes, please. Let's avoid that. So we got to feed some birds. That was pretty fun. I did the smart or stupid thing, and I bought one of their refillable cups, and we got like 4 or 5 servings of like lemonade and Sprite, or Starry, because it was Starry. They didn't have Sprite. To keep us hydrated. It's the most pop the kids have ever had. And then again, the kids were exhausted, and we were also mildly exhausted, but we were fine.
They had a kangaroo thing too.
Oh, yeah.
Just like the Cincinnati Zoo.
Yeah, and so we did walk through that as well.
It was smaller.
It was smaller.
And they weren't very active.
No, I mean, sometimes they're not very active at ours either.
No.
Just depends on the time of day.
It was very hot.
Yeah. I'm going to grab my second Post-it note so I can remember what we did. Oh, yeah. That's what we did that second half of the day. It doesn't really matter. So since based on our experience that was Monday, on Tuesday, we decided we were going to drive to a farther brewery. So maybe the kids would sleep more. And so we actually went out to Fisher's, which I had not been to Fisher's in a very long time. Back in 2007. Yeah. I spent a week or 2 in Fisher's. Cause I had my driver's license, but Mom wouldn't let me bring my car with me. I was allowed to drive my car out there with her, but I had to have my bike in the back. And then she drove back home with my car. So we couldn't get into too much trouble, I guess. And we just biked everywhere. which we hit the 2 hills in Fishers, trying to like go to Target or Kroger or Starbucks or whatever. And there was not a whole heck of a lot out there, but it's blown up. They had like a nice little town
That's
center.
an understatement.
They had a nice little town center area. So like while we were walking to where we were going to have dinner, we heard music coming from a big green space. If we hadn't have been as exhausted as we were, we might have hung out there for a bit.
It was also like a 40-minute drive, huh?
Yeah, a 40-minute drive back to the hotel. So we were
It was supposed to be a 40-minute drive.
Yeah, we're like, we're fine not staying here too long. But yeah. And then on Wednesday, which was our last full day there, while we were going from adult activity to adult activity, I found a park for us to stop at. And what I didn't know was that it was an NFL Play 60 park, which was really cool. So they had like a mini Ninja Warrior course. They had some of the like outdoor exercise equipment. And then it didn't work, but they had, was a 20-yard, 40-yard?
I don't know.
I think it was a 40-yard sprint. So if it worked right, it was 2 lanes. You would stand on one pad and your friend would stand on another. And then you'd look at the board at the finish line and it would count you down and then you would go. And it would time you and tell you who came in first. So I told the kids, no tears, right? And they said, nope, no tears. And we all raced. And Joe and his stupid long legs beat us all.
I like my long legs. Thank you.
So we did that twice as a family, just to confirm that there wasn't any funny business and that Joe, in fact, was the fastest out of all of us in a 40-yard sprint. I don't know how it would go if the distance got any longer than that, but your stupid long legs. You're so tall.
Yes, I am. Thank you. I don't know what to say to that.
But Lily went like back and forth like 10 times. Just on her own. She might have raced her brother like twice. But it was just her wanting to run.
And then Elliot got overheated and
refused to sit in the shade, refused to stop and eat a snack.
And then we had to go.
Well, and then the benches were just like, they were seats with no back. And so Elliot sat down and then immediately fell backwards because there was no support and his little butt went back a bit too far because they were like a little skinnier than normal and there was no back. And we went into a community center to use the bathroom and then headed to our next destination.
We drove past the Speedway, though.
We did drive by the Speedway. So Joe can say that he's seen that for sure now. We didn't do any of the tours there. The kids aren't really interested in that stuff yet. And then Thursday was just a drive home kind of day. We had to get back in time for the Foo Fighters concert. And then abandon the kids with your sister earlier than we told her because they were being good and we're like, bye. And she's like, what, are you leaving already? And I'm like, well, the kids are about to fall asleep. So yeah, bye. If you need us, no, you don't. We've been with these kids for the last 4 days. They'll be fine.
So how do you think they did, like, as far as like traveling?
They did really good. They were pretty adaptable to it. Lily loved staying in the hotel. We talked about it a little bit. I said we were going to be there for 5 sleeps. So she was counting down her sleeps. Thing we did not mention, anytime. So when we left the museum and the zoo was very contentious. Lily was practically in tears and was yelling at me because when we were leaving the museum center, because I know there is a bed here. You're just not letting me find it so I can stay here forever.
I don't know where she got that from.
I don't know where she got that from either. And she said almost the same exact thing for the zoo. She just wanted to stay forever. I'm like, homegirl, if this is your forever, it's not as special anymore. But yeah, so the kids had a blast. And they did really good with, well, for the most part, We had one night where we swam in the pool at the hotel. Or that was a morning. Wednesday morning we swam in the pool at the hotel. Because otherwise we were out and about, so we didn't really use it that much. But the kids had fun.
It wasn't a very nice pool.
Yeah.
It was
a pool.
It was fine.
It was a hotel pool. What do you expect?
Yeah. It was an indoor pool, so that was nice.
Yeah, didn't have to worry about the weather.
Weather was good. I mean, it rained at night once, I think.
Probably.
But during the day it was fine.
Yeah, we didn't have any issues. So like
it was just hot.
The day that we went to the museum, we picked because it might have rained that day while we were in the museum. That was the day that had the highest chance for rain. So we said, okay, this will be the day that we go to the museum. We could have gotten cheaper tickets had we have purchased them in advance. Or there's like an Indy 3-day pass. But like whatever would have been on the third pass, our kids wouldn't have been interested in. So we didn't do that. Like if we would have bought tickets to the zoo like 2 weeks in advance, or the children's museum 2 weeks in advance, I don't remember which one it was that I saw. Like the ticket prices would have been a lot cheaper, but then we would have had to we could have potentially been like locked into a rain-soaked day at the zoo, which we would not have wanted to do.
Yeah, that is risky.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's like some kind of
No.
Rain or shine.
Yep.
Oh, that's silly.
They got to take care of the animals anyway. Somebody's going to be there.
So you can't trade them out. The only other story that I have that's not brewery related is we went to the zoo. I think it was the zoo. Mm-hmm. And then we went north.
Yeah.
To Deviate.
Yep.
And then we went to Fisher's.
Mm-hmm.
And we came back and traffic was awful.
Yeah. All of the construction is going on in Indianapolis right now. You think that Cincinnati is bad with their construction? It is nothing compared to Indianapolis.
They have an entire highway shut down.
Yeah. So one direction of 465 is shut down. From like 69 to 74.
Yeah, that's the giant loop.
Like in order for us to get back to Cincinnati, we had to drive on back roads to get onto 74 because we were unable to use 465 to get back onto 74. We could use 465 to get to the hotel, but we couldn't use it to get back because that side of the highway was shut down. When we came home from Columbus, when we came to the hotel from Columbus, we spent a lot of time, the first portion of our trip, the first leg of our trip back to the hotel was all on country roads where fortunately it was still light outside. Otherwise we would have had a bad time.
That was on the way home from Columbus?
Yeah.
I thought it was on the way home from Fisher's.
No. We might have done a similar thing on the way home from Fisher's, but it was not as bad as the way home from Columbus.
Okay. I stand corrected. We went through a couple of cornfields.
Yeah, literally went through cornfields. Joe almost missed a turn and he backed up in the middle of an intersection because one, there was nobody there. And two, I was like, I don't want you continuing to go down this road because I don't know when we're going to be able to turn off again. So yeah, we're going to back up and go down our road, the road that we need to go down because nobody else is here. We did save a lot of time by doing stuff like that because you look over and 65 or 69 is going a lot slower than you are. Because it was, at night we shut down 3 lanes, so you're down to 1. Have fun. And the south side of Indianapolis is just all warehouses. So you're driving down the highway and you're like, giant warehouse, giant warehouse, giant warehouse. So lots of trucks moving around as well.
Yes.
But yeah, we didn't use the highway near as much as we could have because the highway was slow.
Just all times a day.
Yeah. It was weird and annoying. But we had a lot of fun. The kids had a blast. Lily talked about it for a long time. And
she still does.
Yeah, she still does. And she's like, when are we going back to a hotel? When are we going to stay in a hotel? Well, lucky for her, we got less than a month and we'll be in another hotel.
Yes.
And more.
She will be in a hotel in less than a month.
Yeah. Well, we all will be.
Yeah.
So that'll be exciting and again, very exhausting. We did not bring any kind of strollers with us, which I think we only regretted once. Because the kids did good on their legs or we just carried them. Lily didn't really need to be carried that much. Elliot got carried a lot. But I think if I would have put him in a stroller, he wouldn't have kept sleeping. So the option would have been like, maybe we would have put like the diaper bag and some of our stuff in the stroller and pushed that. So you don't have the diaper bag and the kid. But, yeah, we're almost out of using strollers, which is weird.
Mm-hmm. All right. So is there anything else you want to say about Indianapolis and our trip and the kid portion of the trip?
It was a lot of fun. The kids had a lot of fun. And that was what the important thing was. I mean, we had a lot of fun too. At all the different kids' places. But yeah, they had a blast. And I'm sure we'll be back again soon. Especially because Elliot keeps talking about that train garden. We go back train garden? No, honey. That's like a once a year trip. Not a once a month trip.
All right. So thank you guys for listening. My name is Joe. This is Caroline. This is the Craft Parenting Podcast. We are on all the social media. So Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, X, Rumble. If you're into alternative tech platforms. I am at Craft Parenting Joe on Instagram.
I am at Caroline Creates Crafts on Instagram.
And we will have a part 2.
I don't know if we're going to record it tonight. We'll have to talk about it.
Yeah. We will have a part 2. We're going to talk about the breweries that we went to, which we went through quite a few.
So all in all, our vacation total was 7 breweries in 4 days. 7 breweries in 4 days. The last one was West Side because West Side. If Joe doesn't hit that button every episode, I lose money. So I got to make sure he uses the button.
I'm rolling my eyes.
Yeah. But so that was 6 breweries in 3 days with kids. It was exciting and fun.
Yeah. And Indianapolis breweries are different. And we'll cover
it in the next one.
Yeah. We'll get into all of that. But thank you so much for watching. Make sure you
slam that like button, smash subscribe, ring that notification bell, and hopefully you'll hear from us again soon. Naptime happy hour isn't really much of a thing anymore. And the kids stay up later than we do.
All right, we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Bye.